Emily Carter stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Jumeirah Emirates Towers, watching the Dubai skyline stretch endlessly toward the Persian Gulf. At 22, she had thought she was living a dream, a small-town girl from Riverside, California, suddenly thrust into a world of unimaginable luxury. The marketing contract with Al-Dhaheri Shipping had seemed like winning the lottery. Born to middle-class parents, Emily had always harbored ambitions that exceeded her circumstances. Her father taught high school mathematics while her mother worked as a dental hygienist. They had saved every penny to ensure their daughter could attend Cal State Fullerton, where Emily earned her marketing degree with dreams of international business. The opportunity came through a headhunting firm in March 2015. Al-Dhaheri Shipping wasn't just any regional business, it was the largest privately owned port logistics network in the Middle East, controlling critical shipping routes through Dubai's strategic waterways. Sheikh Jamal Al-Dhaheri had been commanding from their first meeting. At 55, he possessed quiet authority that came with generational wealth and political influence. His English was flawless, refined through Cambridge education and years of international dealings. His attention to the young American consultant was both flattering and overwhelming. Marketing is fundamentally about understanding desire, he told her during their first private dinner at Nobu. What does the heart want that the mind hasn't yet realized it needs? His dark eyes lingered on her face, and Emily felt excitement mixed with unease. The professional relationship evolved gradually. Weekly strategy meetings expanded to exclusive events where Dubai's elite gathered, private art auctions, charity galas, intimate gatherings at palatial Emirates Hills homes where ministers and business leaders mingled over vintage champagne. Sheikh Jamal's wealth was beyond anything Emily had witnessed. His 40,000 square foot compound featured private beach access and helicopter landing. His 200-foot yacht Al-Dhaheri was a floating palace. Business travel meant his private Gulfstream G650 with bedroom suite and satellite communications. The gifts started innocuously, Hermes scarves, Parisian perfumes, always with reasonable explanations. Professional celebrations, contract appreciations, tokens of business success. Each gift came with perfectly logical justifications that made refusal seem ungrateful. Their relationship crossed boundaries so gradually Emily didn't recognize the transition. Business trips to Oman became weekend retreats. Late-night strategy sessions evolved into philosophical discussions about ambition and destiny, conducted over Dom Perignon in his penthouse office. By September 2015, Emily lived two lives. Publicly, she maintained her image as an ambitious American consultant. Her Instagram showed brunches with expatriates, Abu Dhabi cultural trips, sunset photos from photogenic locations. Privately, she had become Sheikh Jamal's companion in extreme luxury. Weekend trips to Paris with adjoining George V suites. London shopping excursions featuring casual jewelry purchases worth annual salaries. Private archaeological tours in Jordan, accessible only through government connections. The controlling behavior emerged subtly. Sheikh Jamal would send drivers for unscheduled meetings, explaining changed priorities. Her building security recognized his men, who appeared claiming routine safety inspections. Most unsettling was his knowledge of activities she hadn't shared. Conversations with other women, restaurant visits, shopping trips. "I protect what matters to me," he told her during a yacht dinner, Dubai's skyline glittering romantically behind them. Dubai can be complicated for young Western women who don't understand cultural nuances. It's better to have guidance. The isolation was systematic. Other professionals stopped including her in group events with vague explanations about changed plans. Her social circle contracted to people within Sheikh Jamal's orbit, employees, business associates, their carefully selected companions. 8 months into what felt like imprisonment disguised as fairy tale, Emily made a discovery that changed everything. While researching competitive intelligence, she found archived social media profiles of Western women who had worked for Gulf companies over the previous decade. 3 profiles caught her attention: young, ambitious professionals who had suddenly deleted their presence and disappeared from Dubai's expatriate community without explanation. One belonged to Sarah Mitchell, a British architect who had worked for firms connected to Sheikh Jamal's empire. Before vanishing, Sarah had posted increasingly cryptic messages about feeling watched and trapped in golden handcuffs. Her final cached post contained a chilling warning. If you're reading this and you recognize these patterns, trust your instincts. Some cages are made of gold, but they're still cages. Run while you still can. That night, alone in her luxury marina apartment, Emily finally understood her situation's true nature. She wasn't Sheikh Jamal's girlfriend or business partner. She was his latest acquisition, carefully selected and gradually isolated until escape seemed impossible. The gifts, luxury, and exclusive access were sophisticated control mechanisms designed to create dependency on a lifestyle she couldn't maintain without his patronage. As she stared at passing ships in the Persian Gulf, Emily realized her contract had 6 more months. 6 months during which Sheikh Jamal's expectations would intensify. 6 months to plan the most important performance of her life, appearing content while secretly preparing to disappear forever from the golden cage Dubai had become. The changes in Sheikh Jamal's behavior became impossible to ignore by November 2015. What had once been charming attentiveness transformed into suffocating control that left Emily feeling like a beautiful bird trapped in an increasingly smaller cage. It started with her wardrobe. During a shopping trip to the Dubai Mall, Jamal began selecting her clothing personally, dismissing the Western-style business attire she preferred for more conservative but expensive pieces that he claimed were more appropriate for your position. When Emily protested that she needed to dress professionally for client meetings, his response was chilling. "You work for my company now. Your appearance reflects on me," he said quietly in the Chanel boutique, his hand gripping her wrist just tight enough to leave marks. "I decide what is appropriate." The isolation from her colleagues became systematic. When Emily attempted to join her marketing team for their weekly lunch at a marina restaurant, she received a text from Jamal's assistant. "The Sheikh requires your immediate presence for an urgent client call." The same pattern repeated whenever she tried to socialize with other expatriates. Urgent meetings, sudden travel requirements, family emergencies that never materialized but always prevented her from building relationships outside his control. Her movements were monitored constantly. Jamal's driver, Hassan, would appear without being called, claiming to have received instructions to collect her. Her apartment's doorman began asking detailed questions about her daily plans, ostensibly for security but clearly reporting back to someone. When she took taxis instead of Jamal's cars, he would somehow know her exact destinations and timing. "I received concerning reports about your afternoon activities," he told her during a dinner at his Emirates Hills mansion. "Dubai can be dangerous for a woman alone. My protection is for your own safety." Emily's phone was replaced with a new model, supposedly an upgrade but one that came with restrictions she hadn't agreed to. Certain contacts disappeared from her address book. International calling required special codes that had to be requested through his security team. Her social media accounts were optimized by his IT department, meaning her posts required approval before publication. The breaking point came in December during the company's year-end celebration at the Burj Al Arab. Emily had been looking forward to the event as a chance to reconnect with colleagues she rarely saw anymore. She wore a navy blue cocktail dress that she thought was conservative enough to meet Jamal's standards while still maintaining her professional identity. His reaction was immediate and terrifying. In the hotel's private elevator, away from witnesses, he grabbed her arm hard enough to bruise. "You dress like a whore," he hissed, his facade of cultured sophistication completely dropped. "You want other men to look at you? You want to embarrass me in front of my business associates." When Emily tried to pull away, his grip tightened. "You belong to me now. Every part of you. Your body, your mind, your future. The sooner you accept this, the easier your life will be." That night, for the first time, Sheikh Jamal struck her. It was a calculated slap across her face, hard enough to sting but not hard enough to leave visible marks that couldn't be covered with makeup. The message was clear. Resistance would not be tolerated. "I have invested too much in you to allow childish rebellion," he said as Emily held her burning cheek. "You will learn your place, or you will discover that Dubai has ways of dealing with ungrateful women." Emily began planning her escape that same night. She opened a new bank account using her passport as identification, carefully transferring small amounts of cash over several weeks to avoid detection. She researched flights to Los Angeles, identifying routes through European cities that would be harder to trace. She created a new email account using public Wi-Fi at the Dubai Mall, avoiding any digital footprints that could be monitored through her compromised devices. The most challenging aspect was maintaining the pretense of compliance while preparing to disappear. She attended Jamal's dinners with forced smiles, accepted his increasingly personal gifts with feigned gratitude, and submitted to his growing demands for control over every aspect of her life. When he presented her with a 3-carat diamond ring in early January 2016, calling it a commitment ring representing their eternal partnership, Emily knew her time was running out. "Your marketing contract ends in March," he said as he slipped the ring onto her finger at his private dining room in the Burj Khalifa. "But contracts are just paper. I am arranging a 5-year extension with expanded responsibilities. You will move into the guest wing of my residence. We will be together properly." Emily's refusal was the first time she had directly opposed his will since the slapping incident. "I need to return to Los Angeles when my contract ends. My family expects me home." His reaction was swift and terrifying. The charming businessman vanished, replaced by something cold and predatory. "I think you misunderstand your situation. You cannot simply leave. Too much has been invested. Too many people know about our arrangement. Your reputation, your future opportunities, your safety, these all depend on making wise choices." The threat was unmistakable. Emily spent the following weeks in careful preparation, knowing that her window for escape was closing rapidly. She booked a flight to Los Angeles via London for February 23rd, 3 days before her official departure date, paying with cash through a travel agent who specialized in discreet arrangements for expatriate women leaving the Gulf. On the morning of her escape, Emily left her apartment with only a carry-on bag, abandoning thousands of dollars in gifts and a fully furnished home. She had prepared a note explaining a family emergency requiring immediate departure, time to be discovered only after her flight had departed Dubai airspace. As the Emirates aircraft lifted off from Dubai International Airport, Emily felt terror and relief in equal measure. She had escaped the golden cage, but Sheikh Jamal Al-Dhaheri was not a man who accepted rejection gracefully. During the flight's final hour, her phone buzzed with a message that made her blood freeze. "Distance is an illusion. Time is on my side. You will return to me, Habibti. It is destiny." Emily turned off her phone and didn't turn it back on until she landed in Los Angeles, but she knew that putting an ocean between herself and Dubai wouldn't be enough to ensure her safety. Some obsessions, she was beginning to understand, recognize no borders. Back in Dubai, Sheikh Jamal's rage was unlike anything his staff had ever witnessed. The morning Emily's departure note was discovered, his roar could be heard throughout the entire Emirates Hills mansion. Priceless vases shattered against marble walls. His security team, led by Khalid Abbas, had never seen their employer lose control so completely. "Find her," Jamal commanded, his voice deadly quiet after the initial explosion. "I don't care what it costs. Use every resource, every contact, every favor owed. She belongs to me." Within hours, his private investigative team was deployed to Los Angeles. They tracked her flight records, identified her parents' address in Riverside, and began systematic surveillance of the Carter family home. For 3 months, rotating teams of investigators watched the modest suburban house, photographed every visitor, and monitored all communications. But Emily Carter had vanished completely. Her parents claimed ignorance when subtly questioned by investigators posing as marketing recruiters. Her university records led nowhere. Her social media accounts remained dormant. It was as if she had simply evaporated from existence. Jamal himself flew to Los Angeles in May 2016, his first time leaving the Gulf region in over a decade. He drove past the Carter family home multiple times, his rage growing with each empty sighting. He hired additional investigators, expanded the search to include all of Southern California, and placed a permanent watch on the house. But Emily remained a ghost. Meanwhile, 3,000 miles away, Emily Carter was slowly rebuilding her life under her mother's maiden name, Emily Walsh. Living in a small apartment in Portland, Oregon, she worked as a freelance graphic designer while attending therapy sessions with Dr. Patricia Hernandez via video calls. "What you experienced wasn't love, Dr. Hernandez explained during one of their sessions. It was systematic psychological abuse designed to create dependency and compliance. The fact that you recognized it and escaped shows remarkable strength. For 18 months, Emily lived in careful isolation. She avoided all social media, used cash for most transactions, and maintained minimal digital footprints. She worked with small local businesses, rebuilding her confidence one project at a time. The physical bruises from Jamal's violence had healed quickly, but the psychological scars required patient, methodical repair. Emily met Jason Miller on a crisp December morning in 2016 at a coffee shop in Portland's Pearl District. He was working on his laptop, surrounded by sketches of sustainable packaging designs, taking a break from coding his latest startup. Their first conversation began when Emily noticed his environmental impact calculations. Most packaging companies focus on cost reduction, she observed, glancing at his screen. But you're actually calculating environmental benefits. Jason looked up, closing his laptop with genuine interest. Exactly. What if we could make sustainable choices profitable instead of just guilt-driven? Jason Miller was everything Sheikh Jamal wasn't. At 27, he was passionate but not obsessive, successful but not controlling, confident without being arrogant. His sustainable packaging startup had attracted modest investor interest, but he was more excited about environmental impact than financial returns. Their relationship developed with refreshing normalcy. Coffee dates led to hiking trips in the Columbia River Gorge. Jason introduced her to his friends without ceremony or possessiveness. He was interested in her opinions without needing to control them. When she told him she was a freelance designer with a complicated past, he respected her privacy completely. Emily's parents, whom she visited for the first time in 2 years during Christmas 2016, were charmed by Jason immediately. He helped her father fix their computer, listened to her mother's nursing stories with genuine interest, and treated Emily with obvious love and respect. "He's nothing like that business executive you mentioned from Dubai," her mother said privately. "This one actually sees you as an equal." Jason proposed on Valentine's Day 2017 at the Santa Monica Pier, exactly 13 months after they met. The setting was deliberately simple: sunset, the Ferris wheel glowing against the pink sky, tourists and locals mixing in the carnival atmosphere. He got down on one knee next to the carousel with a ring he'd designed himself. "I know you value your independence," he said, the ring box steady in his hands despite his nervousness. "I don't want to change you or control you. I just want to build a life together. Will you marry me?" Emily said yes through tears of joy and terror. For 2 years, she had trained herself to expect danger behind every gesture of affection. Jason's straightforward love was a gift she was still learning to accept without suspicion. Their wedding in June 2017 was perfect in its simplicity: 50 guests at a beachside venue in Laguna Beach. Emily wore her grandmother's dress, altered by her mother. Jason's environmentally conscious friends mixed easily with Emily's family and her few carefully chosen friends from Portland. During their first dance, Emily felt like she was finally reclaiming her life. The woman who had fled Dubai in terror was being replaced by someone stronger, happier, and genuinely loved. The surprise came during their wedding night at a small hotel overlooking the Pacific. Jason presented her with an envelope containing airline tickets and luxury hotel confirmations. "I wanted to give you the honeymoon you deserve," he said, grinning with excitement. 2 weeks in Dubai. One and only the palm, private villa, everything first class. My wedding gift to my amazing wife. Emily's world stopped. Jason continued talking enthusiastically about 5-star restaurants and desert excursions, but all Emily could hear was her own heartbeat thundering in her ears. "Dubai?" she whispered. "I know it's extravagant, but you've worked so hard, and I want our marriage to start with something unforgettable. Plus, I researched the tech scene there, great networking opportunities." Emily spent their wedding night staring at the ceiling while Jason slept peacefully beside her. How could she explain that Dubai represented her worst nightmare? How could she tell her new husband about Sheikh Jamal without destroying the trust and innocence that made their relationship beautiful? Over the following weeks, Emily tried desperately to change their plans, suggesting alternatives, claiming work conflicts, even considering telling Jason the truth. But his excitement was infectious to everyone around them, and her carefully constructed new identity didn't include space for explanations about fleeing abusive relationships with powerful men. 3 weeks later, Emily Carter Miller boarded a flight to Dubai, her husband's hand in hers, terror and love battling in her chest as the plane lifted into the California sky. She could only hope that 2 years and a new name would be enough to keep her safe in a city where a very dangerous man still waited. Dubai International Airport felt like walking into a nightmare Emily thought she'd escaped forever. Her hands trembled as they passed through immigration, every security camera feeling like a personal threat. The familiar scent of oud perfume, the sound of Arabic mixing with international languages, the sight of luxury cars lined up outside, everything triggered memories she'd spent 2 years suppressing. Jason was euphoric beside her, taking photos and planning their itinerary while Emily's eyes darted frantically across the crowded terminal. Every man in traditional dress made her heart race. Every black SUV in the parking area seemed to follow their taxi. When their driver casually mentioned knowing Sheikh Jamal Al-Dhaheri's family, Emily nearly hyperventilated in the back seat. Their villa at One and Only the Palm was magnificent, a private beachfront sanctuary with infinity pool and unobstructed skyline views. Jason pulled Emily onto the terrace overlooking their private beach, his excitement infectious as he photographed the sunset. Emily forced smiles while scanning the horizon for familiar yachts, checking sight lines from neighboring villas, counting possible escape routes. The Palm Jumeirah was only 20 minutes from Emirates Hills where her worst nightmare lived. The first day passed in false security. They lounged by their private pool, enjoyed couples massages at the spa, and dined at Nobu where Emily had once felt like a princess. Jason was the perfect honeymooner, attentive, romantic, blissfully unaware of his wife's constant vigilance. Emily jumped at every sound, checked over her shoulder, analyzed every server's face for recognition. That night, making love in their massive bed overlooking the Persian Gulf, Emily almost believed she was safe. Jason fell asleep peacefully while she watched ship lights through floor-to-ceiling windows, convincing herself that Dubai was enormous, that 2 years was forever, that her new name provided protection. Her false security shattered Tuesday morning at Atlantis Boutique District. While Jason tested VR experiences in the resort's tech center, Emily browsed silk scarves, trying to feel normal. Then she heard the voice that stopped her heart. Amira Hassan, Sheikh Jamal's personal secretary, stood 3 feet away holding designer shopping bags. Her eyes widened with recognition and something like terror. Emily whispered that she was mistaken, but Amira was already backing away, fumbling for her phone with shaking hands. Within an hour, Amira was in Sheikh Jamal's Emirates Hills office, her voice trembling as she delivered the news. The American girl had returned. She was at Atlantis with a man, her husband apparently. She looked different, but it was definitely her. Jamal's coffee cup shattered against the marble floor. 2 years of searching, of hiring investigators, of sleepless nights wondering where his precious possession had hidden. And now she had returned, married to another man like his ownership meant nothing. The betrayal cut deeper than her original escape. She had not only rejected him but replaced him. His security team mobilized immediately. Within hours, they had identified the one and only villa, researched Jason Miller's background, and established surveillance positions. Emily Carter had become Emily Miller, but she was still his property. No piece of paper would change that fundamental truth. The messages began Wednesday morning. Emily's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Welcome back to Dubai, Habibti. Did you miss me?" Emily's scream brought Jason running from the shower. She stared at the phone in horror while he read over her shoulder, confused and concerned. The phone buzzed again. "Your husband is handsome. It would be unfortunate if something happened to him." Then another, "You look beautiful in that blue dress." Each message proved they were being watched, photographed, studied like specimens in a laboratory. Emily spent the day in escalating terror while Jason tried to enjoy their honeymoon. Every black car seemed to follow them to the Dubai Mall. Every restaurant worker looked suspicious. Every man in traditional dress made her panic. When they returned to their villa for dinner, Emily was certain she'd seen the same surveillance team in 3 different locations. Her phone buzzed constantly throughout the evening. Your husband doesn't protect you the way I would. Some mistakes require correction. Distance was indeed an illusion, my darling. Jason found her sobbing on their bathroom floor at midnight, clutching her phone like a lifeline. The confusion in his eyes transformed to alarm as Emily begged him to leave Dubai immediately. When he demanded explanations, everything spilled out. The Dubai contract, the relationship, the control, the violence, her desperate escape 2 years earlier. Jason listened in growing horror and rage as his wife revealed a past that made their entire relationship feel built on lies. His face cycled through disbelief, hurt, and finally masculine anger that someone was threatening his family. The breaking point came when her phone rang with a video call. Sheikh Jamal's face filled the screen, older but unmistakable, his eyes burning with possessive fury. He congratulated Jason on marrying his woman, and suggested they discuss the situation like civilized men. Jason's protective instincts exploded into action. Against Emily's desperate pleas, he stormed from their villa into the Dubai night, determined to confront whoever was threatening his wife. His American confidence and sense of justice blinded him to the reality of challenging one of the Gulf's most powerful men on his own territory. Emily collapsed on their villa floor, knowing she had just watched her husband walk toward his death. In trying to protect their marriage by hiding her past, she had delivered them both into the hands of a predator who viewed her as stolen property that needed to be reclaimed. Jason Miller's body was discovered at 11:47 p.m. near Dubai Marina's waterfront promenade by a security guard making routine rounds. The scene appeared straightforward, a tourist robbery gone wrong in an area known for petty crime targeting wealthy visitors. His wallet was missing, his Rolex torn from his wrist, and his body showed signs of a violent struggle. Yet certain details didn't align with the robbery narrative. Jason's phone remained in his pocket, an iPhone X worth more than most thieves' monthly income. His platinum wedding ring, clearly valuable, was untouched. The positioning of his body suggested he had been moved after death, though the responding officers noted no such observations in their initial report. Detective Ahmed Rashid arrived at the scene within 30 minutes, but his investigation would be the shortest of his career. Before he could properly examine the evidence, a phone call from his superior redirected the case to a specialized unit that handled sensitive matters involving prominent figures. By dawn, the crime scene had been cleaned, the body removed, and all physical evidence collected by anonymous technicians. The official report, filed within 6 hours, concluded that Jason Miller had been the victim of a random street robbery. 3 suspects, described vaguely as foreign workers, had allegedly fled the scene. No CCTV footage was available due to a technical malfunction that had affected cameras throughout the Marina district during the crucial time frame. Emily received the news at 3:17 a.m. in their villa. The Dubai police officer who delivered the notification was polite but rushed, eager to complete his duty and depart. The official explanation was delivered with practiced efficiency. Wrong place, wrong time, tragic but common occurrence. The case was already closed, the perpetrators likely to never be found. Sheikh Jamal's influence moved through Dubai's power structure like water through sand, invisible but pervasive. Police commissioners received calls from government ministers. Newspaper editors found themselves pressured to minimize coverage. Hotel security teams discovered their equipment had mysteriously malfunctioned. Within 48 hours, Jason Miller's death had been reduced to a brief mention in local crime statistics. Emily's devastation was beyond tears. She sat in their honeymoon villa surrounded by Jason's belongings, his environmental awareness books, sustainable packaging sketches, photos of their wedding, while understanding the terrible truth she could never speak. Her husband had died because of her past, killed by a man whose obsession recognized no boundaries. The flight back to Los Angeles became a nightmare of official procedures and sympathetic condolences. Emirates staff, clearly briefed on her situation, provided exceptional service while maintaining careful emotional distance. The U.S. consulate representative who accompanied her home spoke of tragic accidents and the importance of moving forward. Jason's family gathered in Los Angeles for a funeral that felt surreal in its normalcy. His parents, devastated by losing their only son during what should have been the happiest time of his life, struggled to understand how a simple honeymoon had ended in tragedy. Emily sat through the service knowing she was the reason for their grief but unable to offer the truth that might provide closure. The questions from Jason's family were heartbreaking in their confusion. Why had they chosen Dubai? Had Jason seemed worried about anything? Were there any signs of trouble? Emily's responses were carefully crafted lies that protected them from a truth too dangerous to share. She was a grieving widow, not a woman whose past had murdered her husband. Months passed in Los Angeles, but Emily remained trapped in psychological limbo. Therapy provided limited relief when she couldn't reveal the core truth of her trauma. She moved through her days like a ghost, working freelance design jobs while battling guilt, grief, and constant fear. Every unknown phone number made her panic. Every knock at her door triggered memories of Dubai's surveillance. Dubai's elite social circles whispered the truth in private gatherings at Emirates Hills mansions and exclusive club dining rooms. Sheikh Jamal Al-Dhaheri had reclaimed his honor and sent a message about the consequences of defying his will. The American girl's husband had paid the price for another man's obsession, and justice would never touch the perpetrator. The message was clear to Dubai's expatriate community. Some powerful men were beyond accountability. Young Western women working in the Gulf learned to be more careful about the relationships they formed and the boundaries they tested. Emily's story became a cautionary tale whispered in coffee shops and hotel lobbies, though few knew her real name. 1 year after Jason's death, Emily received a single white rose delivered to her Los Angeles apartment. No card, no message, but the symbolism was unmistakable. Sheikh Jamal Al-Dhaheri remained in her life, a shadow that distance could not erase. His obsession had not ended with her husband's murder. It had simply evolved into a different form of possession. Emily Carter Miller would never be free. At 24, she was a widow carrying an unspeakable secret, forever looking over her shoulder, forever knowing that somewhere in a gleaming tower overlooking the Persian Gulf, a predator still considered her his property. The golden cage she had escaped had simply expanded to include the entire world. The death of Jason Miller remained officially unsolved, a statistic in Dubai's crime records that would never be revisited. But for those who understood the truth, it served as a permanent reminder that in the glittering towers of the modern Gulf, some men remained above the law, and some obsessions recognized no limits.